since I posted anything. Haven't really had much to post about, but what you're looking at here is an Inspiron 1501. My girlfriend's parents have very generously donated this to me, along with a few other laptops. Thank you, I know you're watching. And, well, it doesn't work. And let me walk you through what it does. Miraculously, this thing still holds a charge. So, I can turn it on. You might see the panel turn on for a moment, then turn off, and then you hear the fan spin up. Then these lights start flashing, which I actually know to mean a processor failure, but I think the processor is okay, because it wasn't doing this before, and I disassembled it and then put it back together to see what the problem was. So I must have just not put the processor back in there quite correctly. But yeah, that's what happens. It doesn't turn on other than that. There's no post anyways. The power on self-test, it fails. So obviously something's wrong. And with all the clues I've been given, I'm pretty sure that it's just in need of a motherboard replacement. So, of course, guess what I have? A motherboard. Which should be identical to the one in here. And it looks pretty familiar, so I think it is. So, I'm going to go ahead and disassemble this thing, and we're going to put in a new one and see what the heck this thing does. Just because, why the heck not? So, first of all, I gotta get the battery out of there. Ow, my fingernails, they hurt. There we are. Yeah, so, the battery's out. I'm just gonna set that aside. Actually, I'm gonna show you, they copied Apple a little bit here. They got the battery indicator. Not that I'm saying that's a bad thing. It's quite a great feature to have, a little quick battery indicator if your laptop's off or in sleep mode and you don't want to open it up. But they did copy Apple. Alright, well, next up, I'm going to take off these two screws. And these two screws have two things under it. Or rather, the panel that they keep in place. So, it has the RAM, and in here, let's see here, we have 2 gigabytes of it, which would have been pretty good for 2008. You know, perfectly fine to get by on. And the modem, because dial-up was still a thing in 2008. Just barely, but it was there. And so it justified having one. So we take that out and unplug the little cable here. Set that aside too. I'm going to move this a little bit closer, because I do need to be able to put screws in it. Next up, I'm going to take off all the back casing screws. Okay, that is all the back screws off, except for one that turned loose, but wouldn't exactly go out of the hole, so I think it's all out. It's just being a little stubborn on getting itself out of there. Okay, for this I'm going to move this monitor back a little bit and open this all the way. So if I remember correctly, I need to unclip this thing right here. Yep, here we are. Take it all off. There we are. So here's the status indicator and power button all taken off, and put that aside. Now I want to take out the keyboard, which is a pretty simple process, though I did forget I need to take out a couple of screws here before I take it off. So I'm going to do that. And almost. There we are. Keyboard comes out just like that. Looks like I didn't actually have it connected before. I'd better make sure to do that when I put it back in. And disconnect the trackpad as well. And while I'm here, I'm going to disconnect the Wi-Fi card, the power button, and the monitor itself. So I'm going to disconnect the power button first, I think. And it should just come out, if I recall. Sort of just plugged in as this little board in here. It's a little hard. There we go. Now it's out. And this little screw right here, which acts for grounding for the panel, I believe. Don't want to put this in here without putting in that screw. It can damage the panel. And here's the panel unplugged. And now the Wi-Fi card, which you want to be also a little careful with, because these little connectors here can completely break the terminals if you on the Wi-Fi card if you disconnect them roughly or uncarefully. I'm always a little scared, but yeah, it looks like these guys are in here just fine still. Okay, and now I just gotta figure out how this little thing here to take out the Wi-Fi card works. I remember this guy was a little tricky when I did it the first time. I don't remember exactly how I did it. Okay, and now the monitor. And that has 4 screws, 2 on this little front casing part and 2 on the back of the machine, if I'm recalling correctly. I'm going to take out this cable here, just so I can take out the monitor. Oh yeah, and I have to unplug this little thing right here, which is the monitor power, I think. Alright, and now I'll flip this around real quick and take off those last 2 screws for the monitor. You know, I could be doing my homework right now. Instead, I'm choosing to repair a laptop from 2008. Because yes. Alright, now I gotta be careful because this thing could probably just fall off if I let it go. But, if I did it correctly, there we go. The panel comes completely off. And I'm gonna set it over there. Hopefully that doesn't fall. And I think this can also just come off with it. If I recall correctly. Yeah, that can just come off. And now we have the little base part of this computer. So, next thing I'm going to do is take out the DVD drive. Which literally just has 1 screw, I believe, and then you just pull it out like that and it's gone. And also the heat sink, and I'm going to see if I got the processor in there correctly or not, because obviously a CPU error code isn't very promising. I hope I didn't just kill the processor in this thing. That would kind of suck, I think. I'd rather not have to deal with that. Because I do have a couple of Turion processors around here, which is what this uses, but I don't really want to go to the trouble of... yeah, no, it's just loose in there. Of course it didn't work. Yeah, I don't really want to go to the trouble of digging him out of any computer. So I'm going to go get a flathead bit real quick, and I'll show you what this thing does when the processor is correctly connected. Okay, I've got a flathead bit, so now I can install this thing in here correctly. Which I guess I somehow managed to not do before, but let's see here. Is that all the way loosened? Yes, it is. And I just screw it into place, and now that processor isn't going anywhere. So I've got this charger too, this Dell charger. I guess I could use the battery, but it's just easier to not do so. And now I've got it plugged in, and I'll quickly put this power light and power button thing back in here. So when I turn it on, there you see the fan going. But the actual lights here, the indicator lights, don't start flashing like that. So yeah, that's a processor issue. That is, now that the processor's in there correctly, it's not doing that, so. And both the graphics chip and CPU are getting hot, so that's good. I think the graphics chip doesn't matter because it's soldered on, but CPU, that's good. I think that probably is working, at least on some level. Anyways, take the processor out. We're going to need it in this one. It didn't come with one, of course. And I'm going to take out the cooler. There we go. Probably don't absolutely have to take out the cooler, but I guess it doesn't hurt either. Now I'm going to take out the speaker stuff, the wiring that goes to the speaker and plugs into the motherboard. And ugh, I just realized how dusty these dang speakers are. Or at least this one. Take a look at that gnarly stuff. I'm going to be careful not to puncture the driver and just push a little, at least a bit of it out of there. Nasty, dude. Maybe I'll hit that with some compressed air later. Okay, I think the last thing in here, aside from the screws holding in the motherboard, would be to remove this PCM CIA mechanism, I guess. I don't really know what it's called. It's called something. Oh yeah, one more right here, I think. And shoot, who knows, if we're unlucky they'll be somewhere else as well, but nope, it just comes right out. Very good. That's quite a good thing. I don't like dealing with hidden screws. I didn't want to deal with them tonight, because it's like probably 10 o'clock by this point, and I don't really have the time to be screwing around with stuff like that. Yeah, this is kind of a rushed video, actually. Alright, and this motherboard is almost ready to take out. But I just gotta take out I think just this screw. I don't see any others on here. I think that was the last screw in there. So I think I can just probably find a way to get this out of here. Unless there's a couple of screws back here or something that's holding them in. Or holding the motherboard in. I don't see any, so if I can just get these ports out of the way, I think I should just be able to take this thing right out in one moment. But that's gonna be hard, I think. You know what? I think a couple of one of the issues here is that these VGA things are in the way. I need a hex bit to get those out. I'll be right back with a hex bit. Alright, I decided to bring out the entire set of bits so I don't have to keep going back inside, but these might work, or this one might. Let me do a little test fit and see. No, too small. Next size up. Ooh, almost, I think. I can feel it start to go down, but not entirely. There we go. And I removed those because I realized on this motherboard, those screws had been removed, so to remove it from whatever laptop they originally had it in, probably the same model, they probably had to remove those. And yeah, this seems to be a little bit more loose now, actually. So if I can just screw with it and get it out of here, I might... Oh, yep, here we go. I got it out. Look at that. This is the dustiest thing known to man. Holy crap. Huh. This little plastic thing here to prevent it from getting in contact with this metal. Well, it sure did its job, I'm sure, but it's real dusty. Anyways, I don't care enough to really dust it off. Time to set this probably broken motherboard aside. And put in the new one. That is hopefully not broken. Said it worked. I chose to believe the seller, but who knows. You can always lie to somebody. Now, this is going to be equally as much of a struggle, I think, but I'll try and get it in there as best as I can. Actually, that wasn't too hard. That went in pretty effortlessly. Okay, I guess it's time to restart, do the reassembly. You can tell I'm tired. Now, if I had spare thermal paste, I'd put new thermal paste on here, but I don't. So that should go right in, and I'll grab my flathead bit and just screw it in there. There we go. Processor is installed. And, oh yes, what else do I need? I need speakers. I'll need those. I will need speakers. Looks like I was a little bit out of frame. Let's fix that real quick. Okay, now I'm going to put this PCM CIA bracket back in here. Or maybe it was, oh, no, this is actually for the hard drive. Does this even have PCMCIA on it? I don't think it does. Whoops. Oh well. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. That screw wants to keep falling out, I guess, so I'll take it out. Just for the time being. There we go. And now it's lined up to be screwed back into place. Alright, I'm gonna get my hex. I'm not really sure if this is actually called a hex bit because it's like inverted and stuff, but it is what it is. It is a inverted hex bit or something. I don't know the terminology. I'm just the PC repair guy, you know? I fix your dang computer. So let's move on with our lives. Now I don't know where that other screw, oh here it is, for the VGA thing went, but I just found it. So we're all good. Okay, that's the cooler back in. I'll plug it in right with this cable. There we are. And I need the heat sink slash heat spreader. Again, I'd put on a new thermal pad and thermal paste if I had such thermal pad and such thermal paste, but I don't. So we're gonna have to live with that. And I think I've got it lined up in there. Oh, before I put it back together, let me just make sure that the CPU is in there. Yeah, I'm not taking it out, so I think I'm all good on that front. Okay, and now real quick, I'm going to put in the RAM, and I'm doing this for good reason, but I'll tell you in just a moment. And I'm also gonna real quick grab the LCD panel and hook that up. Now, like I said earlier, there's a little grounding thing on here. You want to have that hooked up so you don't damage the display. The screw hole here for it is not here. So I'm going to touch it to a USB port, and that should be enough grounding for it, I think. And I also need the monitor power, which, oh, actually this might be monitor power in here. Yeah, I don't know where the other cable went. Maybe that wasn't for monitor power. Yeah, I'm not seeing it on here, so it probably was to something else. I just didn't notice. So I can't really move this from where it is without screwing with the grounding and any of the cabling, so I'll just pick up the phone that I'm using and plug this thing in. Oh, wait, no. Not yet, actually. I need the power light thing, the power button. Here it is. And I think this is everything I need to get a working system. At least something that'll boot up anyways. But we'll see. So it's plugged in. And I guess I just gotta press the power button and see what the hell happens. Where's the button? There it is. Okay, the fan's not staying on. I thought the fan stayed on for a moment. Oh, that's disappointing. Okay. Oh, no, here it is, it's booting up. I thought it wasn't gonna boot up, but it booted up. Ah, that's good. Okay, so this board works. The computer works, even in its very disassembled state. But yeah, it does work. It is here. So I'm going to turn that off, and we'll finish up with the assembly. I'm very happy about that. So, I also want to apologize. I've just realized the computer might have actually been out of shot for the last few minutes. Whoops. I don't know when it went out of frame. So I'll just tell you what I did. I have removed the old motherboard, I have put in the new motherboard, and reassembled it enough for it to be a at least semi-functional system, enough to show a boot screen anyways. And yeah, so that's what I've done, and you saw it show, it was showing a boot screen, so we are all good. the laptop works. And so I'll just put that in. So yes, that's the Wi-Fi card. And I also need the DVD. Oh, that is a stink bug. Holy Schwarzborgel. Hi there, little guy. Can you please get off of my DVD drive? That'd be cool. No, I'd like it if you got off. Thank you. No, get off, please. Well, I didn't want to flick it off like that, but I did. Now that little panic attack is over, let's put the thing in there. The DVD thing. The DVD reader. Wow, that thing really made me lose focus. There we go. Okay, it's in. And now it does have one screw. And I think it was one of the shorter ones in here, so I'll just use one of those because, I don't know, I don't really care that much. I've worked on a lot of laptops. Mismatched screws aren't great. You would generally want to avoid them, but I also don't care. So, mismatched screws generally haven't been an issue for me when I've done it. I'm not saying you should do it on anything that you use a lot, but, you know, I've never had an issue with using it, aside from accidentally creating a bump on the top of a laptop once, but that was purely cosmetic. Yeah, just don't do it unless you don't care about the machine you're working on that much. Alright, I just do some thinking for a moment, but I think I'm ready to put this top part of the case back onto the laptop. So, right here, it should be able to fit in here. Come on. And boom. There we go. Okay, alright, here we are. Here we are. Okay, there we go. Oh yeah, so that little cable I was talking about beforehand, right here, it's actually just to the, screen sensor. When you close it, that's what tells it to go to sleep. So I'm going to plug that back in, because I'd like this to go to sleep when I close the lid. That would be quite nice. And here's the power button and LED indicator lights. And I also want to get the keyboard back on here. Actually, no, scratch that. I don't want the keyboard back on here yet. I want the screen. That's what I gotta do next. And so I'll grab some screws. Alright, now I can safely close the screen. Actually, no, I can't. The display connector's in the way. Oh, wonderful. It got stuck under there. I'm gonna have to undo it and or undo the display real quick so I can get that back through there. Whoops. Finest moment that I can... That was a real fine moment on my part. There we go. Alright, now I can move the display a bit safer, but actually I'm not gonna, because it seems this part of the case is going with it whenever I do that. So I'm actually just going to turn it around and screw the screws into the back real quick. And the part that I hate most about reassembling laptops is putting the antenna back into the Wi-Fi card, because it's such a finicky process. You have to get it lined up exactly right for it to go into the terminals. And I have a lot of practice with it, but it doesn't get any easier. So, if I can just poke you in there, please. There we go, that's the first one. Oh, and the second one went in pretty easily too, actually. Okay, well, I guess I lied. But still, it's not fun. I don't like doing it. Alright, and now for the keyboard. I'm going to put that back in. Actually, scratch that real quick. I got lucky. The actual little grounding screw right here managed to get under the keyboard screw hole, so I noticed I hadn't got that plugged in. Again, you generally don't want to leave this undone. It can damage it. I don't know what the chances of it happening are, but, you know, why take your chances when the screw hole is right there and ready for you to screw into. There we are. That's nice and done, and, oh, I also actually forgot to plug in the keyboard at all first, so I should do that as well. Alright, and now I get screws for the keyboard and screw the keyboard back into place. Alright, and one other thing, I'm going to put this little, I guess, cover plate back on. Doesn't really actually serve any purpose, there's no electronics inside of it. But I'm just going to snap it down into place with the clips. Okay, this little part right here is not going back down, but I don't really care that much, to be honest, so good enough, I says. Now I'm going to close this up and perform the last final steps on this laptop before it's ready to use. First of all, I'm going to put the modem card back into place. First of all, I gotta plug in that little small cable that goes into it, which is a little tricky, but not too bad. Once it's in, it's in. I just need to get it in. There we are. Now there's a little thing on the board that you have to slot it into, and there it goes. That was pretty easy. And you gotta put a little screw on it as well. And there's an especially short screw that goes on the modem, I remember. Put the little plate back on it, the RAM cover, I guess. And now the last few screws go back into place, starting with this one that refused to come out. Okay, I guess it's not going back in either. Okay. Well, whatever, it doesn't really matter. None of my business if it doesn't want to cooperate. There's plenty of other screws that will. Well, this last little screw doesn't want to go in. That's fine. Doesn't really matter too much. And so now the final thing I gotta do is put the battery back in. Snap it into place. Still got to charge. Okay, good. And, move this aside. Open it up. Gotta make sure it's in frame real quick. Oh, it's not in frame. Are we in frame now? Whoa, the camera fell over. No, no, we don't want to do that. Thank you. Alright, and the last thing to do is see this thing power on. Come on. There we are. And there it is. I'll turn up the brightness maybe. No, it doesn't wanna. It's not turning up the brightness, but... Oh, I can do it. That's the max brightness. Okay, great. Well, as you can see, this thing is now working. Probably pretty well. Media test failure. The hard drive's not in there, so obviously it's not going to find anything. But I do have this 500 gigabyte Seagate hard drive. I think it still works, and I can just screw it in there into the caddy, which I do have, just not in this room. So I'll get it screwed in there. So here's my final little thing, I guess. Showing this laptop, starting up Windows and running it and everything. I just finished up with some drivers, and if those drivers work, should have a full Windows 7 install, and I'll finally get to see some things about this laptop. Seems like it wasn't terrible for its time, despite running a Turion chip. Listen to those speakers clip. Alright, enter my password. And the resolution is wrong still, but I can probably change that real quick. No? Yeah, device major. That's definitely what I typed in.
Yeah, it's still not, still not got the video drivers. Everything else is fine, but the video drivers, you know, probably one of the most important drivers. That's all. Loving these sound effects. Seriously, it brings me back a little bit of nostalgia to when I used Windows 7. Beautiful OS, really beautiful. Ah, I see. Windows has stopped this device because it has reported problems. I think the video chip might be a little bit dead, but other than that, this thing works. Either that or Windows is just wrong. But I'm really tired. It's 12 a.m. Honestly, I don't really care that much. This state is, or the state that it's in right now is much better than how it was before, given the fact that it actually functions.
Skip to a little under 24 hours later, and I've got the graphics drivers working. Did take a lot of different drivers. I won't go into the full story, but I finally found the exact correct driver, and now we've got Windows Experience Index running here, which is great because I was worried that the graphics chip was dead in this thing. And I really didn't want to return the motherboard and get a new one and swap it out again. So, I guess this is the end of the video. I quite enjoyed the experience, aside from the whole driver struggle. But, yeah, I guess that's all I gotta say. Oh, guys, take a look at this real quick. Total distraction, but, look at that moth. It's huge. At least for Washington standards. Look at that thing. Okay, anyways, back to it. Sorry about that.